Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to it's a build. It's a build for one of the channel members. I don't know if it technically constitutes as in it came from the workbench. It is more of an it came from the live stream sort of scenario, built over 1.5 live streams. It is, pardon me, Susan. It is the Gmade Sawback Sports Leaf Sprung. He's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. He's this little guy right here. So if you're curious about the assembly or the thoughts or anything that went on in my head during that, there are 2 live streams that one is called Sawback, and the other one is called Double Feature. So in those 2 live streams, we cover the assembly of this, and you get to see pretty much the entire process, save for the painting and assembly of the body. So what do we need to point out about the Sawback Sports to clarify things before we run it? It is leaf sprung. It's got very shiny bits, much chrome, very wow. A little 853S pack fits quite perfectly under there. The receiver is inside this receiver box, which is, that would be a little far. You basically have a mid-motor Jeep practically. They spring it. They leaf spring it very soft. So, but in terms of, and this is why I don't think we have a qualification for it came from the Workbench series, is the only thing that I changed from stock we were sent in these delightful glow-backed wheels by the owner, deep chromes. These are the factory tires. These are, or I should say, the kit tires, the kit inserts, the kit everything. We're just using a very basic plain Jane red Spider tuned machine 35 turn from Amazon, probably about a $15 motor. Very plain Jane 1080, running off of an RC4 GS. The only thing changed from the kit are the dampers, because these are basically no-name Amazon dampers. Just the color looked appropriate. They're silver, and you can fill them with oil, and they actually do. They are dampers. They damp the action of the leaf springs. The things that came with it, and they're somewhere in here, are basically Tamiya style friction dampers, 2 O-rings, grease, and an internal spring. So all they would do is make it more springy. We need to control the action of the leaf springs, so we need actual dampers. So any internally sprung shock, any externally sprung shock, any shock, these are 87 millimeters long, so a 90 millimeter would likely be perfect. Any basically 85 to 90 millimeter shock with just no spring on it, you put oil in it and you run it as a damper. You're dampening the leaf springs. And that's it. Like I said, kit 1902s, Gmade 1902s. We've never tested these. The inserts are pretty soft. They are vented. And the body is nice. It's surprisingly light, 350 grams. I think the short wheelbase, what is that, 0.8 pounds, 3/4 pounds, something like that. It's a good-looking little body. I want to say that this gentleman is a new old stock sort of individual. I'm unsure as to whether or not Gmade still produces the Sawback like this. I know you can still find the 4-link versions, but I don't know if you can still find this leaf version. And I don't know why. It's kind of a shame. It does have the dated bits, and I don't know if that's for better or for worse. You'll notice like little things, the captive nuts in there. See all the nuts. Nothing. There are, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, see, look along the inside of the frame rail. Just nuts. I don't think. Let me see. I'm running through the. Okay. Screws that thread into plastic. I guess technically the screws that hold the sliders on. These 2 screws into the receiver box, but like all down the frame rail, it's lock nuts all the way down. Everything is either lock nutted or flange nuts on these. This is the factory battery tray. We leave this one on for chassis different. I'm not running a battery back there. I don't think the performance would be becoming Also, I weighed it during the live stream, but we might as well do it now. We're here. We've got yoga blocks for the purpose. Sawback, it's on pounds right now. It is 5.47. We'll call that 5.5 pounds. For the remainder of planet Earth, 2,481 grams, just under 2.5 kilos. So one might say 5.5 pounds pretty heavy. Not really. Not really. For the amount of what we've got going on, and it doesn't feel that heavy. It feels largish, and I think because we're dealing with that 1941 style Willys, the scale, people will be like, oh, the scale's weird. No, Willys Jeeps are just really super tiny. So in 10th scale, this is probably really quite close. The Spider is definitely giving us the drag brake. We are at 285 on the wheelbase, 11.4. And that wheel track is 240. Right about 9 5/8 in the Freedom units, because we are on really deeps. These are adjustable offset wheels, and I built them basically as wide as possible because, as you can see, he doesn't sit that wide. And because he's so soft, that honestly, if you didn't know, when you're cycling the suspension like that, let me get a place to grab, it feels almost 4-link. So this is the ride that takes place in place of the ghost ride. It is ordinarily pretty much common practice here to ghost ride the whip. That is, take it out and run it before it has gone through paint and all of that stuff. But the Sawback Sports body, much like many of the bodies we have been dealing with as of recent, there are a lot of bits and bobs. This seems to be a common theme with all things Jeep. That being, the body has a lot of pieces on it, and you can't really even mount. This one you could mount the body, but I was worried about the structural integrity of the body without all of the little bits installed. We will need to, at some point, cut down these body posts. I do not know why they leave them so long. This is obviously, as you can tell, this is the factory mounting position. There's even 2 little notches in the body for the frame rails. It's a good-looking little guy. He's a good-looking little guy. I think, honestly, we're going to see how the performance goes. These tires are 106. So basically class 1s. Let's get an actual class 1. Yeah, a hair under a class 1. So if the 1902s prove to be frustrating, pretty much any class, you could go all the way. Put some throw some megalithics on there. You put whatever you want on there. Anyway, one of the big points of curiosity here is A, the overall performance, but B, atop that, Gmade 1902s, which I did not know were a thing, and they've become my new Pokemon. I've got to catch them all, because somewhere out there is a Gmade 1901, and I know of the existence of the Gmade 1903, but someone in the live stream chat pertinent to this one said, you don't need to test the 1903. Apparently they're really bad. 1904s are good, 1905s are good. This is a Trepador pattern, essentially, and Trepadors never do particularly great. But, I mean, that's gripping pretty good. 5.5 pounds on that short of a wheelbase. We will remain, at least for the moment, cautiously optimistic as we head out to the rocks and we do the usual series of things. And because it's so bright and shiny, and I'm in the rig, not outside. Outside it's positively gloomy. We're gonna try not to tumble it too much. If we didn't get a shot of inside. It's simple, but it's effective. It's simple, but it's effective. It could definitely stand for a driver. I think you would need about a 7-inch figure. But yeah, let's do the rocks thing, shall we? So taking a number of things into consideration, I think most importantly that this isn't any sort of it came from the workbench series. This was a build of a thing. My contribution was putting it together and painting it and replacing the dampers. Like I did mechanic stuff, not fabricator stuff. So it's a build. So we'll just call this a sort of intermediate between dueling Quickviews. We've got a Quickview of the Gmade MT1902 on this vehicle. A proper Quickview would be fitted to a vehicle designed to test Class 1 tires. And we've got a sort of erstwhile Quickview of the Gmade Sawback Sports. And, oh, that's not looking good for the 1902. Oh, that's not looking good for the 1902 at all. They might need to chuck a little bit of, that's a lot of lug noise. Oh, listen to that. That might be the most lug noise I've ever heard. I could have been doing this on cruise. Yeah, right there. I think that's maximum lug noise. Oh, it's really bad. And I don't mean the vehicle. We have no idea what the vehicle is going to do yet. Oh, look. Okay. I'm going to go get different tires. I'm going to go into the workshop and I'm going to grab a different set of tires. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Sawback Sports as a kit. We love kits. The Sawback Sports, and I hate this, when people say something is dated, the Sawback Sports is a little dated. It comes with a full complement of Phillips head hardware. Phillips head. So I had to replace every single fastener save for, I want to say, there's less than 10, single digits. There are Phillips head holding the top parts of the cage together, so I think there's 4 Phillips head screws in the cage. And then the kingpin screws are of a bespoke size to Gmade, so those are Phillips head as well. We tried to get rid of all of it, but we couldn't quite get rid of all of it. The build is not bad, save for some moments where it does not reward monster mitts. If you've got big hands, if you have relatively large hands, there are moments that will not work out particularly well for you. You're going to have to try to get, because its lock nuts all the way down. You know how I say some tires to mount them are bubble juice required? This vehicle is forceps required to hold some of the lock nuts inside the frame rails, because getting to some of them was a less than enjoyable experience. It is actually showing what could be approximated as a level of drag brake, even on this tire. Like, that's just holding. Let's see, get right there. Yeah. They slump and then it holds off of a 35 turn on a 1080. Nothing, absolutely nothing exotic. The axles, the front axle is fitted with dog bones and cups, and not universals or CVDs. So you're going to have a diminished steer angle. And I think they accommodate this, or they recognize this, so they give you a knuckle that doesn't have as much throw. Because if you bind up a dog bone, it tends to just self-disassemble. So they've kind of, they were ready for that. But the 1902, we're just going to go rampant. So we're not even, I mean, there's a tiny little bit of bobble to the rig, but for the most part, it's just a spin out. Yeah, that's a bad tire, everybody. As the numbers go higher, they get better. The 1904 is good. The 1905 is better. Oh, look at this. Honestly, guys, we can't even get a picture of what this is capable of. It can't get up that That's not a... So the very early Quickview is in, and that is the Gmade MT1902 is like, this is an Amazon AliExpress $15 a set tire. These are properly bad. So I'm going to grab a different set of wheels, because these are true, these Glowback variable offset are true bead locks. It's like 24 bolts to take apart each one, which I'm going to have to do at some point. I'm going to have to completely disassemble these to mount a different tire on there, but we'll arrive at that tire later. So instead, for now, what we're going to do is basically start over. I'm going to take this guy's driving very smooth. We're going to take this guy back. We're going to swap. It'll be on different wheels and obviously different tires. And then we're going to do all of this again, only we're going to talk about slightly different things. So as this thing is rapidly turning impromptu, and I've already had to make a couple trips back and forth through the wood shop, we're going to try a couple different things. I have a set of general grabbers sent in by a channel member who has weighted them down to where these are just regular general grabbers that you would get off of any enduro. Well, the class 1 fitted element enduros, just the OE tire. They are mounted on some Steelies of some order, I'm assuming Amazon, and they have been loaded with lead shot. So each wheel tire insert combo weighs in the 260 to 270 gram area. We're well past a kilo of wheelos. I can tell you this from the drive back, you cannot go above about 1/3 throttle because they have lead shot in them. They become violently out of balance, and the entire rig shakes around quite violently. But they are very heavy. The grabber is not a remarkably grabby tire, in spite of its own name. And yeah, we're getting a similar result. Oh, it's better. Similar but different. Oh yeah. So a tire of this size, you can't really, the motor cannot hold that kind of wheel weight back. Bruh. Yeah, a wheel of this size, a tire of this size, it does not really benefit from being this heavy. They look good. That size tire on here looks pretty good. There's definitely more grip there, but honestly, I don't know if the grip is improved that much over just a little class 1 grabber on any wheel. Oh, the weight, it just augers in. 100%, and yeah, I will go so far as to say 100% better than a MT1902. But these are 393s, and I think a 393 is a little too small appearance-wise for the scale of this. They look undersized. And yeah, that, like, watch the drag brake here on the way down. Let's see, what do we get? Yeah, it can't slow it down. That'd be what, 1,040, between 1,040, 1,050 grams, somewhere in that area. It is, that's too heavy. That's too heavy. At this size, for a vehicle of this weight, we're probably looking for, honestly, 100 grams less per corner. It's too heavy. Another rig with a heavier body and a bit better in the ground clearance area might be able to test these out. We'll have to give the grabbers a shot, unlike the Lord on Lord Pennaby, but yeah, they don't work on here. They don't work on here at all. Oh, so out of balance, so violently out of balance. So we then go full safari mode, white on white. I don't know, it's not bad. Who doesn't, it's the Stormtrooper. It's white on white with black accents. Who doesn't like white on white? Pre-XL, non-XL flat iron Pro lines. G8 going way, way, way back. Japanese milk bread foams. These are the hot storm wheels that are pretty much worn out because, if memory serves, the beadlock ring for these is an odd, like 22 millimeters wide. And I've been fitting them with regular 24 millimeter rings. And I have single-handedly and personally ruined all of the inner beadlock rings on these. One of them is still sort of okay, trying to over-clamp a wheel together. But we got them together, and it's flat irons, and there's a little bit of a difference right off the bat. If we can get that corner over, get her over. Come on, you can get over. There you go. And the only interface between the user and the vehicle is the radio, and the only interface between the vehicle and the ground is the tires. So tires are what I would classify as hypercritical. I'm just watching the low speed here. Not getting hung up, really. Not as much as I would think. The axles are not remarkably high clearance. Oh, he's kind of a fun little guy. Not a ton of steering angle. Not a ton. But you know what? Let's... Ooh! Ooh! Look at this boy go. Look at this boy go. Well, let's talk about it. It doesn't feel leafy to me. It really doesn't. I don't feel that peg leg. Is it just sprung that soft? And I think, this is just me thinking here, I think the dampers are doing the thing. They're damping. It's got a nice low speed. On the drive back, I thought for sure the 35 turn was going to be just a little bit too spicy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, escape, escape, escape while you can. Nope. Nice. Yeah, it has the turning circle of a container ship. I don't know if more power in the servo would help that, but it feels surprisingly smooth. Surprisingly smooth, both in terms of applying the throttle, and this is a 1080 with about a $15 motor. I don't know where all that smoothness is coming from. It just feels like we're driving something with not a lot of ground clearance. But right here, I'm not noticing the leaves. Let's get right around here. Oh, he makes you find the line. Oh man. This guy as a first time out on the rocks leaf experience. If you have no leaf experience, and I would be the first to admit that my leaf experience is minimal compared to 3-link, 4-link, this guy is real good. Most leaf setups will just lift a leg and then you feel like you're out of control. This guy's doing the leaf lifts a little bit. Oh, come on. Come on, give me some grab. Oh, that's iffy. Oh, like hyper stable. He says as he rolls it over. Couldn't even get it out of my mouth before I rolled it. But I think that as with most leaf setups, I think wheel tire insert, like look at that. That looks like flex. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know. If I couldn't see the shackles hanging down. Low speed is amazingly good. So we've got a design that is dated for sure. We don't have a lot of the hot fancy newness. Look how good he looks. Oh, That's the style of tire that he needs. That kind of chunky block. And honestly, when I have to pull those rims apart to mount new tires on them, I'm going to go with the middle offset and not the super deep, because I like it pulled in a little bit more like that. That looks proper. Look at that. That's flex. We've got to be all close to 2 inches, which on leaf, on stock factory leaf, that's pretty okay. I'm most blown away. No adjustments to the ESC or the throttle on the radio. His throttle response, it just feels good. His throttle response just feels good. And when you get out on flat terrain, on open ground, 35 turn might be perfect. And we have plenty of low speed control from the 35. I was thinking, as soon as I wheeled it out of the shop, I was thinking, maybe a 45? No. It does give you that leafy bonus, which is where when you get through something, you feel like I've done did it. The vehicle wasn't helping me. I had to go find my line. The ground clearance is, I mean, I don't want to just hop out and go terrible, but we're talking class 1s on a somewhat bigger axle on leafs. I don't know. Underneath the pumpkin, 25 millimeters, 24 millimeters. These are self-limitations. So we find the line that doesn't rely on that clearance as much. Non-XLs are doing, these are doing okay. I am genuinely amazed. And my desire to find terrible things, I am still on a lifelong quest to find a worse movie than Apartment 1303. So now seeing how bad the 1902s are, I have to try the 1903s. I have to find a set of 1901s. I have to Ash catch them. I gotta try them all. Who will be the absolute worst? That's a pretty big shuttle. And with that 25 millimeters, honestly, it's just, we've got so much chop here. This little guy, this little friend, he is doing his best. He's doing his best. This is one of those rigs. They don't come along very often. But when they do, you get this feeling of this guy has got all cheaps on the inside. I think he could use another, 100 ounces of steering over this DS Power Servo that I think was $13. He could use, would I kick more smoothness from the motor out of bed? No. If we could get a little more torque, I don't think he'll fit in a 550. But 540, 1080, cheap servo, this guy is A-okay and all right. Oh, get it. And there's the Leaf rewards. The bonus is brought to you by Leafs, which are, when you do it, when you get to the end of that line, when you make whatever line you're trying to make, and I could use just a hair more steering. There we go. You feel like, I done did it. I did the thing. You didn't help me, little gleaming pearl white fella. You didn't really help me, but I did the thing despite. And that's pretty good. That feels pretty good. Also, and this is very important, the roll cage, perfect. Perfectly positioned. That back bar on the roll cage, handle. When you pick it up by that handle, There are a lot of bodies that they don't like it. They don't like when you pick them up by the cage. You can feel it trying to... You can feel it trying to bend off of the chassis. Not this one. It feels like picking up a lunchbox. You just pick it up. And to me, that's an important design factor. We've got some geo, man. You get to that steep, it starts to lift the front because we're doing a little bit of a weight transfer, but it doesn't try to flop. Can we get out of this? These are single stages in here. Whoa. Retreat. But I can already, this early on, I can do stuff that I wouldn't ordinarily leaf my way into. Like this, what he is climbing up onto, this is rock crawling. This isn't like, oh, we're trying rock crawling a little. No, this is relevant, real deal. This is rock crawling. It's chopped up, it's steep. So it definitely checks some boxes. Oh yeah, go. Get that. You're gonna be on three wheels a lot. It's leaf. Oh, get there. He'll settle back down real nice. Look at you go. Oh, that's iffy. Yeah, this is not competitive. This is not a rig that you do to be like, I'm going to go out and murder some gates. You will murder some gates. You will hit all the gates because you don't have that steering angle. You don't have all the things. But what is it about this Willys style of Jeep? I love the 1941 FMS MB Scaler. I love it. Absolutely love it. I kind of love this little guy. He's such a little boy. My temptation would be, were this a Canyon resident and they were available and I could find another one, I'd be leaning all the way in. Driver figure, passenger figure, whole bunch of gewgaws and doodads in the back. Yeah, I'd put the lights in the light bar, or just put a light bar on the top. I don't. Oh, yeah, that guy is that guy angled back a little? I feel like he's angled back a little. You know, just go at it. Just go at it. Nice set of appropriate looking class ones. Definitely more scale, a bit more trail than pure crawl, but feels real good, looks real good, and I don't know if this is I think what is most important, feels good, looks good. Right behind that, sort of in the intangible realm, cheap. Like the entire electronic suite, servo, radio, speed control, and motor is like $125. I don't know. You can get a little tiny bit cheaper on the radio and the speed control. You could save up maybe another $20. I think you could outfit this with a set of electronics for under $100 and you'd be pretty happy with it. The only absolute requirements from the kit to get to where you are on the rocks. The Gmade MT1902s should be thrown into a volcano. And the included, I believe Gmade has the audacity to call them dampers. They are not. They do not damp at all. They're cool looking. God, I wish I could have found the package. But they don't do anything. The suspension on this feels brilliant.
I think, you know what? I feel like there's a spot that we can get where we'll get that. I've got something hung up. Okay, if we knock the white one, that's fine. Yeah, like that. Sometimes you get it. Oh, catch of the day. Catch of the day. There's not a lot of the approach. The joy of this, a lot of the joy. Woo! A lot of the joy of this are the limitations. This is okay, again. We have to call it what it is. This is a class 1 that appeals to me a lot. That is freshly painted. It has been less than 48 hours. That was clear. Less than 48 hours between where I'm sitting right now and when it was a clear body. So ordinarily there's this like, no. You just want to wheel it. You want to pick up a controller and wheel it. It's fun. And if a toy car does not pass that initial condo test, if it doesn't spark joy, this thing sparks joy. What do I feel like it's missing? A driver and a passenger. It needs Gidget in it. It needs Daisy Duke in it. We need some kind of figure in there that will transport us back to the 1970s, is what it needs. That's what it needs. Other than that, it needs its permanent set of tires mounted on those wheels. I love this white on white look, but I think it looks like this when it's on those chromes. So we'll finish it out. You know, we'll find what the appropriate electronic suite is. We'll figure out what the tire is. We'll figure out how scale the owner operator wants to go in it. Who does he want to see in the driver's seat? You know, and then we'll keep rocking in the free world. So I could literally. I could just take this thing. It has terrible steering angle. Let's just be flat out honest about it. It has an older axle, dog bones and cups, and I don't mind. I don't mind at all. When I have to use reverse in this thing, and I just pointed at it approvingly, I feel like that's absolutely fine. Like this thing, you should have to use. Like look at that turning angle. It is definitely not great, but the vehicle is absolutely great. And if anything can overwhelm you with its positives to the point where you ignore all of the negatives, it is doing something. It's doing a thing that is measured above and beyond all of the other things, because there is no measuring stick nor meter to measure that. There's no objective number for joy. The Gmade Sawback Sports is joy. You may like it less. You might somehow like it even more than I do. I don't know. I really like it. I really do. It's a fun kit build. I wish they were more readily available. I'll have the links to every part that I can think of that is currently available for it. I'll even throw up a link to the one on that is perpetually. It might even say discontinued nowadays. I don't know. I haven't looked it up on Aiming in a while. But the Leaf Sawback, it might be gone. It's a shame. So where's Sawback 2? Hey Gmade. Wait, which way's Korea? Yeah. Hey Gmade. Make a Sawback 2 with Hex hardware. We forgive the failings, the lesser abilities for the joy. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Ooh, we just went full Martha Stewart on that one. Sawback Sports. Look at him. Look at him. What a little guy. What a little guy. I need to thank you so much for joining us here. What a wonderfully overcast morning with a wonderfully joy-filled little guy. I invite you to tune in for whatever sort of shenanigans we come up with next. I invite you to tune in to whatever shenanigans we put up on the internet next. But more important than all of that, in between now and when we meet again, or just now or any time in the future, should our paths never once again cross, I would at least softly recommend that you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We hope, above all things, to see you again. And because he is the Gmade Sawback Sports, we're going to reverse out. What a good little guy.